Well, happy Friday, everyone, and welcome back to Before the Four. It is digital host A.J. Wuest welcoming you back to the Before the Four desk this lovely Friday afternoon. And if you're new to Before the Four, you were just kind of scrolling around, this is a little interactive live stream where I go on Facebook, I go on YouTube, and I go on the WAFF live stream page, and I talk about WAFF's top stories before our evening newscast. And of course, if you are returning to Before the Four, I want to thank you so much for spending a little of your afternoon with me. But we have quite a bit of stuff to get into. So without further ado, let's talk about today's top stories. And of course, starting things off in Huntsville, where a man is in custody after a police standoff happened this morning. Now, this standoff happened near Willow Park around 11:30. Police say an officer was en route to a separate call when they received another call about a potential burglary near Bailey Cove Road. Now, the officer then rerouted and located the suspected vehicle and attempted to pull them over. Eventually, the vehicle did stop and pull over, but then the driver exited the vehicle and fled to a nearby bathroom. The suspect barricaded himself in that bathroom for some time. And then authorities also said that the person who called in about the burglary said that some guns had been stolen. Police did not know if the person was armed or not during the standoff, but 48's Daquan Lee has been at this scene near the intersection of Weatherly Road and Bailey Cove Road today, learning as much as he can, and we'll have updates for you all coming up in a few minutes. Now, the Alabama law enforcement is cracking down on shoplifting after two women in Coleman were arrested for stealing over $34,000 in merchandise. Today, 48's Nick Ballinger spoke with the Alabama Retail Association, and they say police are making it easier to pursue thieves in the area. Find out how in tonight's evening newscast. And speaking of thefts, in the Shoals, the Colbert County Sheriff's Office is asking for your help identifying the alleged thief. Now, the Sheriff's Office says a man allegedly broke into a home, stole a few things, and made his getaway in a kayak. The burglary reportedly happened on Riverton Rose Trail, and on May 23rd, home surveillance video captured several images of the suspect, including this one that you see on screen right here. Investigators believe the suspect is currently living in the Waterloo area of Lauderdale County. Anyone with any kind of information about this suspect or this case, please reach out to the Colbert County Sheriff's Office. And now in Lawrence County, where skeletal remains were found in February of this year. Now, those remains were now identified today as Stephen White, who had been missing since 2017. Learn more about this story in tonight's evening newscast. Now, in case you missed it, a teenager was arrested yesterday for a deadly shooting that happened in Huntsville over the weekend. Now, John Torres allegedly killed Jose Hernandez with a 9mm handgun on Squaw Valley Drive this past Saturday. Yesterday, 48's Nick Ballinger spoke with some family members of Hernandez, and let's listen to what they had to say about this tragic shooting.
Don't nobody deserve to go out the way Jose did.
Jose Hernandez was shot 4 times, including once in the head on Saturday. His family now receiving death threats, want to conceal their identity for their safety.
All the families are terrified. They are scared to speak because some people are receiving death threats from what we are being told. But as far as anything else, the family is trying to fight for justice and hope to receive justice at the end of the day for Jose.
Huntsville police arrested 18-year-old John Torres for Saturday's deadly shooting. The Hernandez family told me their brother came to the Valley Bend apartment complex to visit a friend. That's when the family said people at the complex started yelling slurs at Hernandez.
That he needed to learn English and that he needed to get out the pool before his bag would continue to get more wet, referring to him as a wet bag.
The family tells me it was 2 girls who called Torres over to, quote, handle business.
They're out here free, walking and living, knowing they called their brother, if not their boyfriend, to come handle Jose the way he did.
When Jose's family got there, it was too late.
When Jose was on his last breath, and I'm assuming he knew he was on his last breath, he then told the boys that he loved them.
When the Hernandez family came to get surveillance footage, the suspect's family called the police, claiming they were being harassed. But the family says harassment isn't even on their mind.
They do not want to talk to the family of Torres because they are in mourning, they are grieving, and they are hurting.
Nick Ballinger, 48 News, on your side.
Thank you, Nick. And now another breaking story. Yesterday, a woman turned herself into the Madison County Jail for violating Emily's Law, which has to do with dangerous dogs in the community after a 2-year-old was mauled by a dog back in March. 48 Savannah Sapp has the latest on this story.
We're all responsible for our pets and for our pets' actions. They have a mind of their own sometimes. No matter how much training you give them, at the end of the day, they have a mind of their own.
Melissa Phillips was booked and released from the Madison County Jail on Thursday after a grand jury indicted her for violating Alabama's dangerous dog law. Investigators say her pet is responsible for the death of Mark Partain, a 2-year-old killed in a mauling on TR Christian Road in New Hope. Madison County Chief Deputy Stacy Bates says 3 dogs were seized from the scene that night, but it was a forensic odontologist that uncovered which dog was the culprit.
They were able to match up bite marks and do the forensic side that dental folks do, and were able to match the bites up, and that's what led to us being able to present this case to the grand jury last week.
2 other dogs were found on the scene that night, a husky and retriever mix belonging to neighbor Ricky Clark. They were seized after they were found near the toddler. Investigators say those dogs were cleared after the investigation. Bates says while this case may have been tough for all those involved, he hopes the arrest will bring closure to the family of Mark Allen Partain.
You can never make up for the loss of a child. But we hope that they see that we're committed to seeking justice for their family and for their child, and hopefully that'll help get them a little closer to starting to have some type of closure or some form of closure.
Thank you, Savannah. Certainly a very sad story there. And an update for you all on that story. Today, a second person has been indicted by a grand jury in relation to the incident. Today, Jeffrey Phillips was indicted for the dog attack, and he is currently in the hospital with an undisclosed illness. And now in Florence, where customers will soon be paying $3 more for their utility bills. 48's DeQuan Lee has this story.
As if the cost of living wasn't already increasing month to month, it seems. Now, people in Florence will soon be paying $3 more towards their utility bills. And I spoke with several people this afternoon who told me they weren't too pleased about it.
My immediate reaction was it's kind of ridiculous.
That reaction was all too common when I talked to Florence residents about the upcoming price hike. The increase begins July 1st, but residents like Caitlin Regina told me it's another burden for her to bear. She's a single mother of 4 children who was already looking for additional ways to support her family.
I'm here for a second job. I do not get food stamps. It's $1,000 in food just to pay for my kids to eat a month, okay? And for this stuff to keep going up and the jobs, the money's not going up, we're drowning. And I just don't feel like it's right.
Florence City Council approved the change at their last meeting, passing in a 4-1 vote. Residents like Jordan Dean told me he's not happy about the price increase, but he's not surprised either.
It feels like everything else has gone up, so it feels like it's only a matter of time till we see an increase in things like that. I think in general, in times like these, everybody respects when entities maintain rates that they have and make it work, you know?
In response to the price increase, Electricity Department Manager Mary McDuffa told our partners at the Times Daily, quote, "It's a hard decision and we've kind of put it off. It's just something that's going to have to be done." Reporting in Florence, DeQuan Lee, 48 on your side.
And now in sports, a big day for the state of Alabama yesterday as Major League Baseball came to Birmingham's historic Rick Wood Field. Last night, the St. Louis Cardinals and San Francisco Giants played a game to honor Negro League players who played at that very same ballpark years ago. The Cardinals took the win 6-5 over the Giants, but it was certainly a special night for all sides involved. At Rick Wood Field, 48's Cam Durr spoke with several out there on the importance of a game such as this one. Let's listen.
It's 4 years older than Wrigley Field and 2 years older than Fenway Park. Rickwood Field has been standing here in Birmingham since 1910, making it America's oldest professional baseball venue. And today, more history was made between its walls as the MLB hosted its first ever Negro League tribute game between the Giants and the Cardinals.
Hearing about him, like he's a symbol, kind of, you know, like one of the first Negroes in the league, so it's pretty cool.
It was players like Birmingham's own Willie Mays, who passed away on Tuesday, that paved the way for a new era in baseball. One that allowed for ball players to be ball players, regardless of the color of their skin.
It's a start, and it's great. It's just a great atmosphere. Major League Baseball and the city of Birmingham and the Friends of Rickwood have put on a great venue today.
One-of-a-kind type of place to play. You know, you look around and kind of can feel what transpired here a long time ago and the players that played on the field, and you know, you just don't get to experience something like this in the middle of the season much. So
many of the players that we spoke to highlighted the importance of the history here at Rickwood Field, saying that they hope that this game becomes an annual one. Reporting in Birmingham, Cam Durr, 48 Sports, on your side.
Thank you, Cam. And now we all know it is getting hot outside. Tens of millions of our fellow Americans are under these extreme heat warnings. The current heat wave has gripped much of the country and it has not subsided. Forecasters predict record high temperatures for weeks to come. NBC's Aaron McLaughlin reports.
Hey there, millions of Americans are waking up once again to scorching temps. Folks heading out to beaches such as this one to try and beat the heat. Tens of millions of Americans waking up this morning from coast to coast under heat alerts. We're expecting more sizzling temperatures in the Midwest and the Mid-Atlantic. We're also seeing those wildfires out in New Mexico, killing at least 2 devastating communities, flooding continuing out in Texas, despite the fact that Tropical Storm Alberto is long gone. And get this, so far this year, there have been more than 12,000 record highs recorded at weather stations across the country, and this is showing no signs of slowing down, even though the summer has just begun. They're predicting for the month of July above average temps for the entire country. This is looking like it's going to be a summer of extremes. Back to you.
A summer of extremes indeed. Now, thank you, Aaron. Let's head back to Huntsville, where there are quite a bit of fun and interesting things to do this weekend. One thing you can do is head out to the Orion Amphitheater, where there is a Juneteenth celebration going on. A few days ago, I spoke with Lena Weldon with the Orion, and if you're a fan of local music, you're certainly in luck. Let's take a listen to what Lena said about all the local acts that will be at the Orion Amphitheater this weekend.
We are partnering with R&B Vibes Live for a portion of it, so they're going to be our host and our DJ to kind of keep the energy flowing throughout the whole event. We will have Journal, who is joining us from the Muscle Shoals, Florence area. He's kind of a really awesome up-and-coming artist out of Muscle Shoals, so we're kind of tying in the roots of North Alabama. Of course, we'll have Gypsy Soul, Nina Marie, and then 2 really fun alternative kind of funk artists, Treetop and the Gifted, and Soul Carnival.
Very cool. The Orion Juneteenth celebration will be from 12 to 6 p.m. And if you're a fan of eating and like to show off your top-tier eating skills, you can also head out to the Monrovia Community Center this weekend, where folks will be feasting on some hot dogs. Now, let's take a listen to what they had to say. Overall,
I guess my favorite, that when I show up, it's community, and everyone comes together for that cause. Next Step Farms is an opportunity for people to give back to the community a little bit, meet and greet and get to know some of the folks. That's really, really big, but to me, it's just more about the community coming together. Because even though you may not know everyone there, after you leave from that memory and that time that you spent there, it's always going to be on your mind. And if you're in town and you see someone, hey, I remember you from the hot dog eating contest or the Next Step Farms booth, it's amazing. It's a good time, and I hope everybody can come out to that. So. And that was hot dog chef Jeff Matthews. Jeff, thank you so much.
That event begins at 10 a.m. tomorrow at the Monrovia Community Center. But if you're not a fan of hot dogs and are a fan of space and rocket science, you can blast off to Big Spring Park. Tomorrow, the Marshall Space Flight Center is presenting NASA in the park from 10 to 2. The event is completely free to the public and will feature space exhibits, music, vendors, and some hands-on activities. A whole lot of space fun. Finally, if none of these other things I mentioned sound fun to you, the Huntsville Botanical Garden is hosting a brand new farmers market. Let's hear what that's all about. Hello everyone and welcome back to 48 Now. I am digital host A.J. Wuest, and today I am joined with Miss Laura McPhail. She is the Director of Marketing and Communications at the Huntsville Botanical Garden. And of course, the Roots and Shoots Farmers Market is coming to the Botanical Garden. It'll be every fourth Saturday of June, July, and August from 9 a.m. until 1 p.m. And of course, that will be starting this Saturday, June 22nd. But Laura, can you first talk about the need for a farmers market like this in the Huntsville area?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, AJ, for having us on. First of all, there's a lot of great farmers markets in our area already, but there's not one that's really in the Bob Wallace area of Huntsville. And so we saw a need and wanted to fulfill that and have a great place for people to come and get a little bit of shopping done, but also come and visit the garden because it's also going to be open at the same time. And it's a great way to get outside, get outdoors, and really connect with nature in a couple of different ways.
Sounds pretty cool to me. And no matter what you choose to do this weekend, I hope you have a great time doing it. And since it's Friday, let's end before the 4 on a good note. Incoming the good side.
At the courthouse, yes, sir.
Incoming the good side. This week from Nashville, we all know Broadway in Nashville is buzzing and every night of the week. But today I'm introducing you to a man behind the scenes who finds purpose in an unlikely place. Let's listen.
Crowds gather as lines grow on Nashville's most famous street. They come for the party, the atmosphere, and of course, the music. But inside every Broadway bar, there's comings and goings of a different sort.
Come on in, young man.
Because at some point, everyone needs one thing.
I mean, we usually use the bathroom about 6 to 8 times a day, about 2,500 times a year. And that averaged out to be about 92 days in a lifetime. You see some paper towels.
Alonzo Cheeks is a bathroom attendant.
All right, man. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Ready with everything people might want, but he's known for giving what they need.
It starts with you, and then you make everybody around you better. Small world.
He calls himself the man in the can, which is a bathroom now. But 20 years ago, his can was the Metro Detention Center in South Nashville.
I was homeless before, and I was kind of like living on the streets, pretty much under the bridge.
Well, unfortunately, it seems like we lost audio on that story, but which is very disappointing because that is a very good story there. I might replay that one on Monday, so make sure you stick around and hear from the rest of that story there. Now, let's head into some of the stories you're just not going to want to miss. 3 North Dakota kids making the prehistoric discovery of a lifetime, the remarkable story of a dumpster survivor, and a 3,000-year-old ship found in the Mediterranean. These are all stories you're not going to want to miss in tonight's newscast. And I think we have enough time for Facebook fun. Let's pull up the box real quick. Our question was, what is your favorite Donald Sutherland show or movie? Now, of course, Donald Sutherland passed away at 88 years old yesterday in Miami, Florida. And let's see what you all had to say. Clarice said Animal House, iconic movie there. Thank you for commenting. Terry said MASH, very popular comment there. And finally, Katie said the Hunger Games. He was certainly a iconic President Snow. And Vicky said the Pride and the Prejudice for sure. I do not blame you all. All incredible stuff right there. But that is all the time I have in today's Before the Four. I want to thank you all for sticking around with me and spending a little bit of your afternoon with me here on Before the Four. I hope you all have a great weekend, no matter what you choose to do this weekend. And with that said, it is time I sign off. So I want you all to have a great weekend, and thanks for watching.